not supposed to eat candy bars at 3 in the morning. Yes. 320 pounds, not supposed to do. But it happens. Wow. 320 pounds.
All right, guys. I know everybody's getting back on here. Sorry that kicked us off. It's that's happened in the past. In general, this conferencing tool has been good for us, but occasionally we run into some of that. So, guys, last few things we want to touch on here are just some common mistakes or omissions that have been going on. One thing is on saving attachments. So,
can we go through and get muted again?
now we're working on it. Somebody's running a vacuum or something. Mute. Mute. All right. Okay, we're back on here, guys. When saving attachments, and so this often comes in that blank paperwork section that we talked about. If you are adding a refrigerant tracking, some sort of checklist or whatever, once you fill that paperwork out, these are fillable PDFs, so it looks like a just a piece of paper that we've taken a picture of, but you can actually type in it. So once you fill that out, you're going to go to this top little send icon. If you can see that, it's a square with the arrow shooting out of it. So click on that, and then you're going to select Add to ServiceTrade. So that'll make sure that document gets saved. In the past, we've had some people fill those documents out, then they go back into ServiceTrade, but they fail to save it there, and that's sometimes that text will disappear. So after you fill any of those documents, those fillable PDFs out, make sure to go to that send icon and add to ServiceTrade.
Also, if add to ServiceTrade is not one of your options, if you slide over on that same bar where you have a little more icon, you have to enable ServiceTrade as one of the apps you can send it to.
Okay. Another question, we already talked about this, but this is common, is just remembering the IVR details. So remember, right when you get the call, this is one of the things you should look for right away, just so you're aware of it. So it should be in that job description. I know this text is small and hard to read, but you have some details here. This is a call example of coming down into the IVR. Make sure you know when you need to check out or check in and check out and where it needs to be done. So as soon as you get a job, just check, is this IVR or not? And if so, follow those instructions. Adding the correct asset. So when we've talked about adding various photos. We talked in length. Sean Croft helped us about adding a new asset here. When you're adding data to that work order, so first enter the asset or select the correct asset if it's already been entered into the system. So you go to assets, add an asset, take a picture of that data tag. So here's a Maverick one as an example. They all have that MNT to start. And then make sure the asset matches the equipment with the issue. So this is one thing that is happening fairly frequently is make sure that the asset logged in ServiceTrade is actually the asset that had the issue. So for example, you may have an ice chute, right? It may be the chute that had the problem. Well, are you adding that to the soda fountain machine, or are you adding that to the fountain ice machine, right? Sometimes we'll get a call from the customer that'll just say ice machine, right? Well, are we talking about the backroom ice machine, the pellet follette machine? Are we talking about the Hoshizaki cuber? Just make sure the equipment that actually had the issue, not necessarily what the customer called about, but the equipment that actually had the issue is the correct asset that you've added there. And if you need to change it, go ahead and change it. Let's get that on the right one. Just a couple more here, guys. Adding details on parts. When you're adding parts for the work order, remember, enter the manufacturer, the brand. So don't just write fan motor. Right, let us know, is that a Fasco? Is that, if you have a model or serial number, please add that detail and give us a little bit more help, because there are lots of different fan motors and our billing team just wants to make sure we're getting the right one. Add the parts or spec number and upload the receipt from the supplier. If you're taking a picture of your receipt or your packing slip, it makes it a lot easier because it removes, any question about what the actual part was, and our billing team can snag that very quickly. Clock events and time, we already touched on that one, so I won't go into that any further. Refrigerant tracking. So refrigerant tracking forms are required for basically all of our grocery store customers. There may be some others as well, but Winco, Costco, Trader Joe's, Whole Foods, Smith's. When you have a call and you utilize refrigerant on that call, make sure to add this refrigerant tracking form. You can find this form under the first go to view more details, and then this actions button that Jim talked about, right? Click on that and then download blank paperwork, and that refrigerant tracking form will be in there. You can fill it out and remember to save it or send it to ServiceTrade, and that'll be included in there. So please remember the refrigerant tracking forms. So guys, just as a reminder here, look, this system should make us more efficient rather than less, and we know we're capturing a lot more data. That being said, we don't want everybody in the field, out there no longer being service technicians and actually fixing equipment and just typing stuff into the iPad all day, right? I mean, there's some reason within there, and so please be thorough and accurate in the process, but if it is consuming a lot of your time, speak up and let's figure out the right balance between gathering the appropriate data and actually fixing things. That being said, please pay special attention to the following. Make sure numbers, POs, parts numbers are accurate and match. Make sure clock events match. Provide backup information, photos, audio, video. If you're in doubt, take a photo of the asset tag, the parts receipt, whatever it is, and our people in the office can usually make sure that everything's entered correctly. And then make sure your media, your photos, your videos are clear. We've had a few of these, not tons, but sometimes they're cut off or they're blurry. So please just take an extra half second to make sure those are clear when you do snap those. That's it for ServiceTrade, guys. I know there are still a few questions, and this will be a ever-going process as we iron some of these things out. Speak up, email Brad, or talk to the right person if you do have some specific questions. But in general, I'll reiterate this: ServiceTrade has been great. The rollout of this has gone better than expected, and I think we're moving in a great direction. So hopefully this training helps take another step forward. Next week for the core TI, we have a lab. Talk to your service manager about kind of the date and time and exactly what they're doing with those. Service managers, I'll send you an email with some information about that today or tomorrow, but next week will be a lab. The following week will be a break, okay? And then we'll be back at class the following week after that, I think the first week in February. So thanks everybody for listening in, and sorry for this class to go a little bit longer, but appreciate everybody's help here.
Thanks, Nick.
Yep.
So that farmer's market